two kids from Queens, cut from a different cloth. Now, joining forces, helping you to elevate your personal brand. Yeah, I'm talking about Nicky and Moose, bringing you a never-before-seen perspective into the mindset, the mentality, the behaviors, the driving force, but more importantly, the stories behind the people and brands that you know and love the most.
What's poppin', what's poppin', what's poppin'? This is Nicky. Welcome to Nicky and Moose. I'm Nicky. That's Moose. What's up, people? Y'all. What's up, people? Listen, fire episode. I say this every time. I do. But this time's a little bit different because I honestly mean it, okay? I mean it this time. Moose, talk to the people about the guy we got.
Yeah, you talk about someone who is down to earth, someone who is successful but is also humble, like has that humility. The epitome of it. That's Facts. What that is.
Facts. So let me just get into the intro of this guy.
You call him Quincy, I call him Q.
And I was like, what the Q? Yeah, sounds fly.
Fifth, what's up? I'm good, man. Ludacris right here. Trace Moore. Holla. That's what we do, brother.
Down low.
Boom, too slow.
Yeah, we're on the set of your new film.
Quincy is just one of those people that always makes sure that he takes care of people. And that's why people love him so much. He's always looking for a way to get back to something.
Very proud that his hard work has paid off.
I'm gonna give it up for my mom and dad right here.
Fitness is a major part of his lifestyle. He takes fitness very seriously. He understands the mental aspect, how it makes his mind feel more efficient, and he's able to focus and he has more creativity as he goes because he works out more.
Q makes you feel comfortable. He got the ability to make anybody laugh.
All right. It's more of a shimmy. It's more of a, look at it, more of a
little bit. She tried to put her tongue on it, I saw that.
My boy is all grown up, look.
Okay. What's up, man? What's Harry Connick Jr.?
It's not every day you just have Coolio in your studio.
Now, Biv DeVoe.
I couldn't be happier for my guy, Q.
Is he not the greatest lady in the world? I'm a hugger. Okay. Let's give me a hug. Y'all have a lot of fun down here, Bob.
Q.
Wow.
Yo,
Wow.
I'm so mad that because I'm full transparency. I'm so mad that I look like this. My camera is not working the way it should work. So I'm mad.
Listen.
But I'm happy to be on with y'all. I didn't know y'all were from Queens, so shout out to Queens.
Shout out to Queens.
Yeah.
And Southside. Yeah.
Had the air horns for the Queens. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Look at that.
Listen, Q, thank you. Thank you for being on. For real.
Thank y'all for having me, man.
Moose, you want to start it off?
Absolutely, man. Q, first off, just to kind of give you some context around why we do this, right? For us, first and foremost, it's always about being able to acknowledge people, expressing our gratitude just for the work that they're doing, who they are as individuals, and showing appreciation while they can still receive it, right? Like, we always hear people regretting that they can't do that, like, man, or that it's just so cliche. So we feel good about really putting that thing into practice every single week, or at least twice a month. We have a guest on. So, we're honored to have you on. But really, it's just an opportunity for us to learn about your journey, right? And highlight people who are doing business and branding right. So tell us how you got started, man. I mean, I know in the game, 15 plus years, but just tell us where it started. Like, where did that passion for entertainment or just radio and TV, where did that come from? And how did that come about?
Yeah, well, first of all, I gotta say I respect both of y'all, man. Nicky, she's just like this aggressive, straight shooter, like, yo, you ain't doing it right, And I respect people that give people their authentic truth, right? and because a lot of people don't want to hear it. And then with you, Moose, man, like your energy, like I'm such a big fan of people who are just genuine. Like you feel like I feel like I've known you forever, right?
Yeah.
And that's a hard quality to find in people. So when you have the truth and I'm not saying you're not genuine too, Nikki, but I'm talking about Moose now. But when you put those two together, it's like, am I off? Is my audio off?
No, you good.
We got you.
Good.
Okay.
Got you.
So yeah, man. So I respect y'all. So for me, how I started, I've always been a person to break rules. Like I'm like, okay, I want to understand what the rules are.
Congratulations,
and then I'm like, nah,
you played yourself.
That's dumb. Yeah, I'm like, that's dumb. Let's figure out another way, right? So for me, my parents, I was 11 or 12 years old. My parents got me and my sister 13-inch TVs for each of our bedrooms.
Mm-hmm.
And I would turn on the TV and I would stay up late at night and I would watch Johnny Carson. So I'm telling you how old I am. So I would watch Johnny Carson. I would watch David Letterman, and like once in a while they would have rappers on because I love rap music, and they would have rappers on, and I'm like, this is dope. But it only happened like once in a while. It was like a special moment that I had to like stumble upon. And then one night I'm watching TV late at night, not supposed to. I have it on like the volume's on like 3, and I see these I see like Shaq or the Fushnikins on Arsenio Hall. I'm like, what is this? I'm like, okay, because I was always the guy that wanted to, like, I would get albums because my dad would buy albums every Friday, right? So he would go to this place. It was a record store, Sound of Germantown. I'm from Germantown section of Philly. He would come in with like the yellow bag, and I liked his music, but I love rap. So I would watch UMTV Raps. So when I'm watching Arsenio Hall, I'm like, this is a fluke, because he had like these dudes on. I'm like, all right, let's see what he's gonna do tomorrow night. Tomorrow night it was like Eazy-E, talking about Dr. Dre when they was going through their beef. I'm like, what? Then it was like Tupac. Then it was like Mike Tyson. It was like, what is this? I was like, I want to do exactly what that guy does. And I went to Temple University. I read the coursework. And I told y'all, like, I like to break rules. I read the coursework, and it was like, you can't get an internship until your senior year. I'm like, that's dumb.
Right.
So me and my boys, our sophomore year, I went to this, like every radio station has like the big concert. And I went to the concert like, yo, I'm sneaking backstage to meet somebody. And I snuck backstage. I met a DJ. I sent my resume, which was like of nothing at the time. I'm like 18 years old. And I get I hear on the radio that they were like, yo, write a 99-word essay to learn behind the scenes of radio. I'm like, oh, this is my job. Wrote the 99-word essay, got a call, and I worked my way up from there.
Wow.
So that's how it started.
Wow. Wow.
Yeesh. Crazy. All right, so Q, it's crazy because we on Tuesdays really go over the greats and everything like that. So one of them, we were going over Kanye, and you did an interview with Kanye, and then all these other greats that we went over, you happen to have done an interview, and I didn't even know, right? I was like, yo, why am I just finding this out? What was your favorite interview right now, July 30th, 2020, to right now? What is the favorite interview you've done?
Darn. It's hard. So I like when you said it, and it's so many, but I mean, I could say Magic Johnson, right? Like I remember I was on the radio, and this was like 2004, and I had a partner, but my partner couldn't make it that day. And I was like, oh, we off then. Because at the time I was like, the morning show was just in my mind, it was just too big for me to do. Like I've done other shows, but like the morning show meant like everybody was listening, right? So it was always good to have somebody else doing the show with you. And she couldn't make it. And I was like, I'm not going. And I forget this girl's name, but I never forget. She was like, yo, you're not gonna come in tomorrow because you don't want to, you scared? to do the show by yourself? I'm like, you better do that show. I'm like, but it's Magic Johnson. Like, I was scared to interview Magic Johnson. Interview Magic, and it was crazy because my dad was like a hardcore Sixers fan, and I was able to call my dad like, Dad, I got Magic in here. And my dad was able to talk to Magic, and he was in town doing something. And he was like, yo, come with me. I want you to come have lunch with me.
Right.
And that led to us having lunch. I never forget, I'm in LA maybe like I was in LA maybe like a year later. I leave Roscoe's and I'm driving, and coming down Sunset is Magic Johnson. And I'm like, yo, Magic. He's like, yo, pull over. He pulled over. He's like, what you doing out here? I'm like, yo, I'm just trying to make it happen. He's like, yo, come to my office in like an hour. Call me in like an hour. I should be in my office in 2 hours. I call him. His assistant picks up. I go and meet Magic Johnson. It was insane, just off of that interview. So for me, it's been more about the relationships I've been able to have off of these interviews. You know, like I'm really like excited, and really what motivates me is like relationship. Right. So relationships for me are like, you know, so that like Magic Johnson interview, I remember interviewing DMX, and I was like, he was like in the middle of like everything, like craziness. Right. And I interviewed him, he cursing on the radio, and I'm like, and I was so mad, not mad, I was so focused on the format of how things go. Yeah. That I wasn't listening. So he said something and I wasn't listening, and I had to go to like the tape calls, like, because in radio the way it happens is, hey, we got DMX up here, and then people call like, oh my God, I love DMX, and then you edit those calls up, and then you come back on the air, you edit them during commercial break or when songs are playing, then you come back on air, you talk to them like, hey, what's up, DMX? You're like, yo, what's up? Like, let's go to the phone lines, right? Right. And then you already had the tape. I wasn't listening to what he was saying to me, and that haunts me to this day, because he was trying to tell me something, like he was about to give me like a gem, but I wasn't listening. So even that interview was a really good interview for me, because it made me start to listen more. You know, I remember interviewing Jay-Z and R. Kelly for Best of Both Worlds. The first one. Fire interview. I have a picture of it. I should post it today. I'm a picture, and they're laughing. Jay-Z afterwards is like, yo, you killed that interview. I'm like, yo, something happened with the audio that I couldn't retrieve the audio.
No.
But do you know that never happened again? Like, that never happened again, because I learned from that. So like some of the things aren't always the best interviews, but those are the things that, those are the ones I could say kind of like, and that was just on the radio that really stood out for me. Interviewing Kobe Bryant the day after he announced he was retiring, he played in Philly, and I was on TV.
First of all, you're not gonna speed past that. Like, you didn't just say what you just said.
No. You wait. That's phenomenal. But Moose, have you noticed that he's just like, yeah, Jay-Z and R. Kelly, Kobe, this? I'm like,
I guess that's what happens when you live in that world, though. Right. Like, it's like, yo, this is, this the roster.
But for me, it's more about ownership, right? And it's always been about ownership. So I'm working towards ownership. I'm not working towards fame, because when I see these people, I'm like, y'all are owners, right? Like what Magic Johnson was able to do from basketball to being an entrepreneur, that's what I want, right? Like I want to be able to help people. So like for me, these people, like, again, like I said, Jay-Z, well, we know where R. Kelly is, but Jay-Z, and like what Kobe Bryant was able to do and what Magic Johnson was able to do, it was like, yo, they started here, but then they were able to, add to what they're doing. So for me, like, it's always been about that. So to me, it's like, oh, great relationship. I want to know how you do these other things. Because when I interviewed Magic, he wasn't in town for he wasn't in town for basketball. He had retired, right? And he was able to. It was business deals that he was in town for. That was the thing that intrigued me. So I'm just trying to use this as a vehicle to become free and then help other people become free. So.
I love that, man. I'm so big on, as you know from the flight assessment, just like how people think, right? I'm such a how people. I'm fascinated with how. So it's like you put me in that position where I get an opportunity to interview Jay, and the audio goes wrong, and I use it as one, and I call it one of the best things that's ever happened to me.
Yeah.
That's gonna take some growth, right? Talk to me like, is that how you've always thought? Like, did it take some level of growth and maturity, or just some level of understanding for you to get to that point where it's like, yo, some of my biggest lessons have come about through failures or through things that, didn't go right per se.
So when you're doing a job that requires you to be the best or just have the best energy, you gotta let it go, right? Like, you have to let things go, because if you don't let things go, they'll still affect you. And then if you feel like, yo, I interviewed Jay and I interviewed this person, and you're just living off of yesteryear, dude, you can, like, they got somebody else that's waiting to come get you. Like, the reason why I was able to connect with, ET was because some of the messaging he was saying, right? It was like, dude, I wasn't a basketball player, I wasn't a rapper, but I felt like, yo, dude, you're not gonna outwork me. Right. Like, I do this. Like, I really, like, that's why I'm mad right now. Like, y'all don't even know how mad I am that my camera is not working. Like, I'm mad, like, through the roof mad, like, upset, right? But you have to be when this is what you do. You know what I'm saying? Like, so yeah, for me, it's just been like that mentality. Like, I've always had the bigger picture, and then once I got to that picture, it's like the finish line always moves. I'm just trying to figure out now how to be satisfied to a certain extent while the finish line has moved again. Like, that's what life is, right? You'll keep evolving, hopefully, and you gotta let your good times go, and you gotta let your bad times go. Like, you gotta keep going. You gotta live in the present.
Yeah, that's major. I call that the balance of peace and complacency. It's like, you're looking for peace because that's what joy and happiness is for a lot of people, and that's what everyone wants. But then if you chill too much peacefully and laid back, you can also become complacent. So it's like, all right, what's the balance between the two? No, that's incredible.
Yeah.
So Moose, we forgot something. I know, but I like that we started this way, though, because we give people an opportunity to know. It's like we gave you a sample, right? Absolutely.
Now you,
Absolutely. So we have to find out, what is he, right? So you already know we about the flight assessment, right? So hold on, let's put you can't tell them what it is yet, Q. You can't tell them, right? You can't. So based off what you've heard so far, and we'll get to the voting later, right? What do you think Q is? And in a minute 30, Moose, explain to the people what the descriptions of the characters are.
Absolutely. So again, based off of the 4 dominant personality types that we know exist in the world, the first, we use the example of the flight theme. So the first being the pilot. We know that pilots, once they get on the plane, they go straight to the cockpit. Their main focus is getting the plane from where it is to its final destination. So people of this style are usually just focused on the goal, very driven personalities, right? Super decisive in that nature. But once you get on the plane and you're walking to your seat, the next person up you see is usually the flight attendant. Now, flight attendant, different swag, usually friendly, enthusiastic, right? Smiling, wanting to make sure that they can help you to your seat, maybe get your bags on the plane, get you a drink, a snack even. So flight attendants, we know, are all about the people and relationships. That's what they value the most. That's what they think and feel about most often. But once you're sitting in your seat, you look out the window. If you're at a window seat, and you're going to see out there's people with vests, right? Orange vest, green vest, blue vest, whichever airline you're flying. And you've got the ground crew members, those that are putting your luggage onto the plane. They're helping the pilot back the plane onto the runway or into the gate, right? They're really doing a lot of different things, but nonetheless, a very important part of the whole operation. Usually this type is more so what they call supportive, but they're more so the pace keepers. They're the glue that keep the operation running. And then lastly, you have the air traffic controls, right? You don't hear them, you don't see them, but you hear of them, right? Pilot always coming on the intercom and saying, hey, we can't take off yet. Air traffic control didn't give us the green light. So people of this style usually are a little bit more systematic. They're very detail oriented and they care about getting things right the first time.
So people, start voting what you think Q is. Now, Q, you said something super dope about ownership, right? Now, from a branding standpoint, what is one of the first things that you did with your brand to take that step into ownership? Because being so connected and the tribe that you do have, like I know you were known for being a host and everything, but what have you done to get into that ownership role?
The first thing I did was I got an LLC, right? So I have Germantown Entertainment, which is an ode to Will Smith. He's from Overbrook, and he has Overbrook Entertainment, which is another section of Philadelphia and also the high school that he went to.
Right.
So that was the first thing, right? And then behind the scenes, for me, I'm creating shows and pitching shows that have nothing to do with me. Like I've done that in the past since I was in LA for 6-7 years. Like I made a movie, I produced a movie in LA 2010, and I'm like pitching different TV shows, whether it's me in it or with me not being the focal point. Because again, for me, like I feel like I'm I like to look at people and see their talent, and there's people that they want to interview the Kanye's of they want to interview the NBA young boys,
right,
and they want to interview all these people, and I want to be able to be the person to say, I got you, you can do it. So but it all goes back to Germantown Entertainment, my production company. I don't know if y'all can hear my baby.
Oh no, we hear the babies, but that's okay.
Okay.
That's okay.
Yeah, he's a baby. I apologize. Not the baby, but yeah,
the babies. Babies.
Right. Not the baby.
Yeah.
Talk to us actually just from a business standpoint about this concept of, starting a production company. A lot of the different personalities that we have broken down on the show, almost all of them are executive producers. They're involved in some form or fashion with production.
Yeah.
Why is that so important, when involved in the business?
I'm gonna be honest. I hate having bosses. It's
lower your tone.
Okay, and I'm gonna say this because I have a boss now, right? And I just don't like having bosses. I always tell any boss that I work with, I'm gonna work harder for me. I'm working for me, right? I'm no disrespect. I'm not working for you, but because I'm under your umbrella, I'm representing myself. So I would never half-step or half-ass anything. I'm sorry, but I would never half-step or do anything because I'm not worried about your brand. I'm worried about my brand. So I'm gonna give 1,000% already, right? So that was the number one thing. And then number two, I've always been a hustler, right? Like I was the kid in high school, worked at the supermarket. I'm bagging up candy. I'm selling candy in school. Like I was always that guy. So for me, it's the same thing. I get it. I like this. I get it. I gotta come back on here. I just want to hit the buttons for y'all. But I've always been intrigued by the business, right? So let's break things down to $1, right? If the host of a show is getting 20 cents, right? And then the executive producer is getting 4 cents, right? Or let's say 5 cents, right? They're getting 5 cents. And then the network is getting 75 cents off of what the producer
and what the talent are doing, I gotta figure out how to make that 75 cents.
Facts.
I've always been that way. Like, fame does nothing for me. Fame does nothing for my bank account. Again, I told y'all when I was 12, I wanted to be on TV and I wanted to be the next Arsenio Hall. I've done 694 episodes of my television show in the last 3.5 years. Clap, clap, clap. That's good. Those aren't shows I own, right? So for me, I can care less about just being on TV and being seen. I just don't, it does nothing for the babies upstairs screaming. It does, it does nothing for my bank account. So for me, I've always I look at it like a game of, like I saw this one clip, right? It was Ice-T, and he said, he was talking about rappers, right? And he was like, yo, it's like a pimp/garden tool game, right? And he said, once I found out what it was, I just started pimping myself out. Boom. You get that concept? Perfect. Because everywhere you go, you're going to have the same issues. Oh, they don't respect me. They're not paying me enough. They're not going to see this. No. They won't.
Right.
You got to get it for yourself. You got to use the platforms you do have to get to where you want to go. This is what Jay-Z did. This is what Magic Johnson did. This is what Kanye West did. That's why I'm excited. Like, when I talk to you about relationships, it's not about oh, I can call Kanye. He's my friend. It's like, yo, dog, you told me in 2010 that you were going to come out with Yeezys. You told me in 2014, yo, in a couple years, we're going to just be watching Drake while he's into product and he's a billionaire. He has other issues. We already know that. But the basis of that's something that I've never forgot. So this is the reason why I want to have the relationships. If it was Warren Buffett, I want to, all right, how can I interview Warren Buffett so we could be friends?
Wow.
That's been I'm not doing it for Instagram pictures. That's why it's hard for me to do that stuff. That's why it's so hard for me. And I know Nicky's on me. I know anytime I see Nicky like my post, I'm like, I get it, Nicky. I know what you're talking about. I get it. But for me, it's so hard to do that stuff because I'm like, yo, this show that's going on in the front ain't really what's going on. There's some stuff going on in the back that they getting those 75 cents. So I've always that's been the thing. I don't even know what the question was, but I'm just telling you, that's what I'm at.
All right. Hey, you gonna learn today?
You definitely gonna say it with your chest.
Sheesh.
Shoot, Nicky, I wanna follow up if you don't mind.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. Just another one on this concept of building relationships, because I think one of my favorite parts about the flight assessment is it does teach you how to navigate the waters of different relationships, right? Based on how people are. But, for someone like yourself, how do you navigate those waters without making someone feel that you're trying to take advantage of them? There's really no other way for me to say it. It's like, what advice would you give to somebody? Because it's like everyone is trying to collaborate or jump into ownership. But how do you stand out from a relationship standpoint to make something genuine and authentic?
Add value. Just add value.
Lower your tone.
It's just add value. That's all I'm trying to do. Anybody I meet, I'm just trying to add value. And whether I can cash in on whatever, it doesn't matter. So when people call me and they're like, yo, all right, if I can do it, I'm gonna do it. That's CEO or janitor. It doesn't matter. So when I get around the CEOs, it's just like I've already been given to the regular workers, the janitor, and it's just who I am.
Right.
So I'm not tripping off of it. So all I'm saying to you is I'm playing a volume. It's not even a game. I'm playing a volume of adding value so that when I interviewed Kanye West when he first came to Philly, right? This is before his first album came out. His tooth fell out his mouth. I knew him then, right? Me and E.T. Like, I said E. And I didn't know where the relationship was going to go, but I believed in him so much that I said, come to my radio show. I'm going to stop the music for an hour. I told my boss, I was like, yo, we got to stop the music. No, we can't stop the music. Yo, we stopping the music. Fire me, whatever you got to do. I believe so much in that relationship that I was willing to do that. And I did it. And that was 2014. E was big, but E is out. Like, E is crazy now, right?
Right.
Like his last 6 years that I've known him, like, is only going up. So it was just like, yo, I believe in this dude. And there's been people that I've given to that they may have quit the business or whatever. And it's just like, I'll tell you this, and I was thinking about this, I don't know why it popped up in my head today. People have issues with me or anybody that you may say, hey, Q, oh, I don't like that dude. The only reason why they say that they may have an issue with me is not because I did something to them. It's because I added less value to them than they thought I should add. They thought they wanted more value. Like, I may have I say $1. I may have given them 30 cents. And then they see me give somebody else 50 cents and they like, dog, why he get 50 and I only get 30? And it's like, but I gave. Right. So that's always been my issue. You never hear somebody say, oh, Q took from me or Q stole. It's like, my issue has been, people have been like, yo, I saw you give dude 50 cents. Can I get 50? You only gave me 48. Can I get 50? It's like, yo, people are crazy. So it's never been from that. So to your point, man, I just give. Like, I'm just all about assist. And some of those assists come back to great relationships. Some of those assists come back to great business. But I give more than I receive. And that's real. Come on with these sound effects. I'm about to start rapping. Come on.
Oh, you've never seen this before. You've never seen this before. Listen, so COVID happened, or it's still happening, right? You had a whole TV show. Yeah. Like, talk to the people about this pivot. That's the word of the season, man. Right? Yeah. Talk to the people about the pivot you had to make for you, your TV show, your brand, everything.
So I'm not gonna lie, the first 2 weeks. So we did our last show. It was like, I think Thursday, excuse me, Thursday, March 12th or March 13th, whatever that Thursday was. And they were like, yo, we're shutting down. I'm like, oh my goodness. So they were like, yo, we're gonna put the show on hiatus. I'm like, oh, that's not good.
Right.
So then I'm like, I gotta figure it out. It's about adding value. Again, I work for this brand, right? I'm doing this for me, but I'm going to add value to you.
Right.
So it's almost like the more I respect myself at my job or position, the more you're going to get out of it as my employer, right? So I was like, all right, I got figured out. Like I'm not going to lie, first week and a half, I was like, this sucks, right? And then I said, man, maybe I can do the show from home, right? So, and this is why I'm mad about the way my picture looks. So I looked at my equipment. I had a camera. I've talked to Nicky before. She's like chumped me about like different microphones I'm getting. Like, oh, you a baller. You should get the $3,000 mic. I said, Nicky, I got 3 kids. She's like, so what? I'm like, okay.
I did.
So
I did.
I had these. She did. I had the microphones. I had all this stuff, right? So I'm looking at all my equipment. I'm like, yo, I think I can do this from home. I called my boss. I said, look, I think I can do, and I went straight to the big boss, right? I was like, yo, I think I can do this from home. He's like, really? I said, yeah, I got the equipment, and like, you can. He said, we don't have any editors. I'm like, don't worry about it. I can do it. Yo, I sent in a sample show. Did it. He hits me back like, yo, like, I'm really blown away by what you just put together. He said, yo, can you do 3 shows a week? Like, I usually do 4 shows a week. I said, no, I can do 4. He said, now,
take a.
Yeah, he's like, we're not going to be able to help you. Like, you're going to have to shoot it. However you did it, you're going to have to turn it in like that.
Right.
I did 39 shows from home. I shot, I edited, I booked, I hosted the show. Mother's Day, I went and got lights. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm mad at this, like, the way this looks right now. It's really irritating me because I have, like, I got my camera, my DSLR, excuse me, connected to my computer. And I got, like, I was ready for y'all. Like, I was looking like how y'all look. And I'm like, man, so I'm just saying, so I just did it from home. And it was one of those things where I'm like, yo, I helped my wife launch her podcast. She has a podcast. I started pitching, like, because again, yeah, the pandemic is here, but then this interaction that we can do, it turns into even me speaking in colleges, right? Mm-hmm. I could speak in colleges just like this from the crib if my camera looks right. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yo, I could make more money from home just using my brain. And I literally just, like, everything that happens to me, I just try to find out what the lesson is. Like, there's a lesson in this, whatever lesson it is. Like, there's a lesson in whatever I go through. And then I try to figure out what the lesson is. And then I, like you said, I pivot, and then it takes me on another journey. Well, those horns this is fire, man. Can y'all come to my house? This is cool.
I got you.
I need those sounds.
I got you. Moose, tag, you're it.
Yeah. No, I gotta give credit to Nicky, man. She's brought this production together pretty sweet. I feel like we kind of on the radio right now, just with the vibe.
This is insane.
Yeah.
Another one.
Talk to us about the I guess that next transition for you, right? Like you said, you got started by kind of just hustling, like, yo, I gotta break rules, I'll do whatever it is I can to get there. Then you get that first opportunity that was on radio, and then you make another big jump to go to TV.
Yeah.
Do the two still coexist or happen simultaneously? Did you kind of had to, like, talk to us about that transition? Like, you know, what were some lessons from that experience?
So I come back from LA. We were out there for about 5 years. My girlfriend at the time, we got married. We had our first son. She's like, yo, I want to go back home. She's from Virginia, but she's like, I want to go back home to the East Coast. I'm like, why? Like, dude, it's sunny out here every day. Like, I was working on a big morning show in LA, Big Boy's Neighborhood, produced my movie. Like, I produced a pilot for Big, like, things are rolling. And she's like, I want to go back home. I'm like, it's crazy. So we come back, and then I get a call from the radio station, one of the radio stations, the guy that I snuck backstage and met the first time I ever wanted to get in the radio. He's now the executive. He's like a VP of a radio company. He's like, yo, are you happy in LA? I'm like, yes. He's like, yo, if you want to come back home, we got a position. I'm like, nope. And I said no. And then they come back maybe like 2-3 days later. I'm talking to people. They're like, yo, you need your own platform. I'm like, ugh. So my wife wanted to come back. Like, she had everybody talking to me, like, and they called me back. Right. So I was like, all right, I'll take it. And reluctantly, I took it. And then when I came back to Philly, this was 2011, in October, this is like the first time we have a winter in like 5 years. I'm like, what is hot about this? This is not hot. And this is the first time I had to really, like, I was like the oldest guy on the radio now, right? Like, people I'm working with, they're like, oh my God, I used to listen to you when I was 12. I'm like, oh no, like, I become that guy, right? And then, like, some of the artists I'm interviewing, right, is not Kanye. It's not, you know what I mean? Like, you know how, like, music changed. It became, like, really, like, disposable. Like, it's not, like, I think, like, the biggest artists are, like, the last 10 years in hip hop, maybe, if you look at it, like, Drake, J. Cole, Drake, J. Cole, Meek, and like a couple, like, it's not as many as it used to be, right? So I'm like, man, I want to be on TV. That's why I went to LA. I have relationships at the TV station, and it was really important because 2013, my mom was diagnosed with cancer. And up until that point, like I'm not gonna say rode the wave, but I've never, like, I took a shot to LA, and I literally thought in my life, me taking that shot that's the only shot I would ever have to take again. Like, all right, I left without having a job. I stacked my money. I went out there and I got a job in 2 weeks. And I was like, that was it. But what I learned is, like, you have to keep jumping, right? And the radio station, they wanted me to do mornings. And my mom got cancer, so it's 2014. And I'm like, yo, I'm not gonna be here forever. Like, I'm going to die one day, right? And I had one son, and my wife was pregnant with our second son, and she had him. And I was like, I got 2 kids. I can't be like this sucker. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because they're only gonna do what I do, not what I say.
Right. So
the radio station was like, yo, we want you to do mornings. At the time, I'm working on Fox 29, and the way Fox happened was, I had a relationship with them since 2004. Kept the relationship going. Come back home. This lady named Jen Frederick, she's a reporter, great lady. She brings me on. So now she's bringing me on for music stuff, but now I'm like the young guy who's married, right? And now I'm the young guy with kids, right? So in radio, I was old. In news, I was young. I was like, it was like I was 20 again, right? So they're bringing me on, and it was funny. They were bringing me on like once a month. I'm like, I know they like me, right? Like, some of the executive producers, we graduated from Temple University. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, we had that connection. It seemed as if they liked me. And this is a really important story, right? So I had to do like some self-evaluation. I'm like, what is going on? They're not calling me as much as I feel like they should call me. They're calling all these other people. And I looked at my tape one day, and they had me on the desk, and I was like, I look like I don't belong there. Like, I had like a baggy, like, button-up shirt. Like, my dress shirt game was just like weird. And I asked for help. One of my boys, Will, shout out to my man, Will Patterson. We worked together at the time. And I was like, Will, you know how to dress, man. Like, how help me? He's like, dude, go to tiebar.com, get a handkerchief. Your shirt's too baggy. Go to Express, get an extra tight joint. I'm like, tight? For real? Yeah, get an extra, let that joint fit.
Let it snug you.
Yeah, let it hug you.
Right.
Right? I was like, man. So the next time they called me, I was ready. I had the handkerchief, boom, joint was tight. They was like, oh my gosh, Q. I look like I belong there. I'm taking pictures on the joint. This is before, when Instagram is just warming up. Like, I'm taking pictures. You know what I mean? I'm doing my Anchorman pose.
Yeah.
Oh, they went from calling me once a month to once a week to twice a week to 3 times a week. I did it for free. They're calling me so much, people thought I worked there, right? So now I'm just there. Q, can you fill in for Mike? Yes. Q, can you do? Yes. Q, can you? Yep.
Sure can.
Now I'm there. Then at the end of 2013, the reporter wanted to go on vacation. They were like, Q, we're going to pay you per day, and we're just going to try you out. Hilarious. I don't get a tryout, dog.
Right.
Like, you crack, that was the door crack open. I'm like, holla. And I killed it. And they called me, I want to say like May. It was like, I was out Vegas for a fight. I was reporting for a fight. So it was like May, they called me like, yo, we want you to be on Good Day every day. Then they hired me. So now I'm doing radio I'm doing TV in the morning, and I'm doing radio in the afternoon. Grinding. And then my radio station was like, yo, you get paid the most here because they bought me back from LA. You have to do mornings. I'm like, I don't have to do mornings. I'm not doing mornings. Like, y'all said I wouldn't have to do mornings. I told you I was going to come back, and I was not going to do mornings. And now they were like, they flipped the script on me. Like I told you, if you don't have ownership, this is what people get to do. And they called me. They were like, yo, we want you to do mornings. I'm like, I'm not doing mornings. First I said, yeah, I think about it just to buy myself some time. And then I went into my boss's office. My contract was about to go expire. And I was like, yo, what happened with my contract? And I just wanted to see her lie to me. She was like, oh, that comes from corporate. I was like, yo, Q, you see that? They lied to you in your face. Got it. So they were like, yo, you sure you don't want it? I said, nope, I'm cool. They let me go. They flipped the format of the station. Now I'm just working at Fox. And I was making more on the radio than I was TV. But to me, it's like, yo, you can't let money and let people like pimp you out dictate your trajectory, right? Yep. So I go to Fox. I start going crazy on TV. I'm talking about, I'm interviewing everybody. I got my own cameras. I'm interviewing people. I'm dropping off content. I'm doing it all. They come to me like, yo, we got a show for you. The show they had for me was a show I already pitched or I already shot in LA 8 years prior. It was like the same exact like setup. We're gonna have a DJ upstairs, but the reason why they did that was because I was doing stuff on I was doing stuff on Facebook Live. Mm-hmm. And I had my boy who was on the radio with me. He would DJ on my island. My wife is talking. My kids are running. We're playing music. We got up to like 20,000 people every Monday. And Fox saw that. And I saw one of the vice presidents come on a live. I'm like, oh, you on here? Oh, something popping. And then they offered me a show. So I just say, man, like, the transition was hard, but it was kind of easy for me because I knew since 12 years old what I was going to do. I just didn't know how I was going to how all of this was going to happen, you know. So we did episodes of the show, and now we're trying to rethink and reimagine the show for September. But that's opened up so many other doors, like being on TV, being black, being the only person to have a show. Then they started another show, like Sky's the Limit. And I put all my friends on. Everybody been on. Everybody. Again, I put on over 1,000 black people on TV in Philadelphia in the last 3.5 years. Man, ain't nobody can't say I have not done. And the crazy thing about that is I put people on, and please remember this: the love you give is not going to be the love you receive all the time. But just keep giving. Keep giving. Keep giving.
Bow, bow, bow. Wow.
Moose.
Wow. I think I asked the last question.
That was that was a lot. That was loaded. That was loaded.
That was fire though. Because I think it gives us just a full broad perspective of like the importance of ownership. You know, one of the things I saw today, right? They were talking about like Jay-Z's path in entrepreneurship in the business and Master P. Mm-hmm. It was like Jay was more of, yo, let's collaborate, build big business. Master P was more like, nope, ownership. I'll leave if I don't have ownership, right? Both relatively successful, but just two different styles. So I think you coming from within the industry and having some of those relationships, but really lived experience in navigating those grounds, it's really cool to hear you speak on it, because I think sometimes people really dream about getting somewhere, not having the full depth of what's behind that door, right? Because like you might be on the outside, man, I can't wait to get to radio. And then you get to radio like, oh, I guess it ain't all that I thought it was going to be, right? So it's like, it's cool to kind of see that conversation from there, which is really dope.
Yeah, no, thanks. And, I use, it's leverage now. You know what I mean? It's leverage. You just got to leverage where you are to get to where you want to be.
Thanks.
Shane's
asking, right? Because I see the time, we're coming up on the time, but what is it that flipped the switch for you to hustle and find the information that is needed for you to process?
What? Okay. What was it? Flip the switch to you hustle on the information you need. What was it that flipped the switch for you to hustle? Man, rappers. I told you I love rappers. Like, dog, I had every master, like, what? When Master P was coming out with them albums every month, I'm like, yo, he got a 90. I'm telling you, I understood what was going on. I'm like, he had a 90-10 split with Priority or whatever record company it was. I'm like, yo, I remember my man Gilly was signed a Baby from Cash Money, and they went to Universal to pick up an $80 million check. Like, I remember that. Like, I'm like, yo. So for me, that's always been the case. I've never been satisfied because I'm like, darn, every time I feel like you know, I'm trying to build. I look at people like Jay-Z and Diddy, and they like, man, and you got to think about them. It's all about their product based. If you look at the breakdown of how Jay-Z made money, it was all product. It wasn't music. It was Douce, it was the champagne, it was, you know, property and art. But if you look at it, a lot of the chunk of that was through product, through Douce, through, you know what I mean? Diddy, Ciroc, Dr. Dre, headphones. But they had to be great in one area, then they could go out. And so for me, it's been, I'm understanding that, and I'm like, I got it. I feel like I'm good. I'm getting great in this area. Now it's time for product. So I've always been on that. Always.
Moose, can I still one more question?
Yeah, please, go for it.
So what is the model? Because you mentioned Jay and Diddy, but out of everybody you look up to, interview and everything, at this moment, what is the model that you are putting into action? Whether it's the Jay-Z, whatever.
Byron Allen and Tyler Perry. Byron Allen and Tyler Perry are cranking out content at a rapid pace.
Right.
And they're doing it through ownership. If you look at what Tyler Perry did with what he's doing in Atlanta, like he's doing content, he's shooting the content, he's owning the content, he's controlling the budgets, and then he's leasing it out to these different networks. He didn't ask for anybody. Like Byron Allen, he's another one. His motto is he goes to TV stations. Hey, TV stations, if you have a 30-minute show, that's 7 minutes of commercial time. Okay? 7 minutes of commercial time equal 14 30-second commercials. He says, hey, this is my show. I have a show here. I produced it. You don't have to do anything. I own it. Let's split ad time. Meaning you keep 3.5 minutes of local advertising. I keep 3.5 minutes of national advertising. I do that in Philly. I do that in Atlanta. I do that in Detroit. I do that in Chicago. And that's how he's been able to build, because he owns. So that is the model. That's the only thing I'm looking at. When people stop me on the street, I'm not tripping on that.
Right.
I can care less. Let me rephrase that. Thank you, and I appreciate it, but I'm looking like, yo, I get to this ownership, like really at a high level.
Yeah.
Then I can change Philadelphia school districts, right? Then I can give out scholarships at my old high school. Then I can put, 1,000 kids in golf classes, because golf is one of those sports that you need to learn if you want to do high level business, because a lot of people that do high level business play golf. I'm not saying you have to play golf, but I would my kids just did their first golf lesson today. You know what I mean?
So you were golfing today.
Yeah. Oh, I was playing earlier. And I suck still. But I got 2 deals done on the golf course in the last 5 weeks. You know what I'm saying? So it's like if I can get people that look like us to a mindset of how I've gotten to this mindset faster at 10 years old, at 11 years old, where they going to be? Because that's what it's really about. It's about legacy. And I'm like tripping because like my kids are getting that now. Like we're having a lot of firsts together.
Right.
So I just think like that's why we're here. We're here to add value and help people. And a lot of times you can help them without money, but if you can help them with money, game changer. And that's another one. That's what I'm on.
Sheesh. Moose.
Again, I apologize for my camera looking like this.
No, you good. You good.
Yeah, the content has been real,
crazy.
Man. And that you know what I'm saying? I don't think any level of camera would make up for that. So I'm happy for that.
All right.
Let's do this real quick, man. I know we're getting close on time, but we usually like to kind of do like a speed round of questions, right? Just fire off a bunch of questions at you, put 90 seconds on the clock, and you just run through it. So the clock's already running. We're gonna get started. Let me ask you, AI and the 76ers, Nick Foles and the Super Bowl champion Eagles.
AI.
Oh,
AI.
Wow. Okay.
Love Nick, but AI. Culture.
Okay. First time on the radio or the 100 TV episode?
100th TV episode because my mom was there and she was crying because she knew she was like, you know, she passed away 6 weeks later. So that 100th episode.
Wow. Favorite spot to get a Philly cheesesteak from?
D'Alessandro's. Yeah, D'Alessandro's. It's amazing. It's uptown. It's Roxborough, but still, I still consider it uptown. So yeah.
Okay, so you're hosting the Philly's greatest of all time brunch, dead or alive. Who's co-hosting with you?
Ooh, yo, crazy with it. Who's co-host? I would like to say Will Smith, just so I could just like talk to him backstage. I mean, of course, he would have a seat, but I would want to like be closer to him. Yeah.
Right. Fire. Last question. I know you're a runner. Did over 100 miles in COVID. Favorite place to run, man?
Kelly Drive. It's here in Philly. It's connected to like the art museum steps. It's an amazing view. Yeah.
Hey. So this is what we're gonna do. I actually got one more question, but I'll leave it to like at the end. So let's put these characters back up, right? Y'all have heard the man speak. You probably picked up on some key words. So let's do this. Q, pick one that you are not.
What's the system? What's the people that?
He's like, what's the systems?
That's hilarious. What's the system one? Yeah.
C? Is that C? Is that a high? I'm structure. Don't get me.
Oh my God! All right, air traffic control.
Yes, air traffic control. I apologize.
Oh my goodness! Oh, I got rid of the wrong way.
And I'll be like, yeah, I apologize. Yeah, it would be
all right.
Air traffic control.
What? Another one. Hold on. That you are not. Which one are you not?
I would, see, I would like this. I like to support people. I would say, what's this person? What's the signal?
Grounds crew.
That was this, but they help people, right?
They do.
Yeah, I feel like I help people, but I was low on that. So yeah, I would say that one.
All right. Tell the people. Hold on. What are you, Q?
I'm a flight attendant with heavy pilot tendencies. But yes, I'm a 99I.
So, I got one more question. I really do, because you mentioned ownership a lot.
Yeah.
And this may be left field, but how do you feel about the Nick Cannon situation? When it comes to ownership, the wilding out, how do you feel about that?
Man, these are great questions, and this is me trying to gather my thoughts and not say anything crazy. I'm very surprised that Nick didn't own that.
Right.
Because he owns so many other things. And maybe it's some things behind the scenes that we don't know. Because again, like I was telling you guys, there's two different things going on, right? There's what's going on and what you can see.
Yeah.
And then there's some stuff in the back. And we don't know if there was something in the contract that stated, hey, you can't own it for this upfront money.
Right.
That he wanted to do something else with, to own 10 more other things.
Right.
That you got to give up ownership for this amount of years, and then you can come back and buy it. And maybe he did that.
Right.
Because Nick is too smart. Like, Nick is calculated beyond this world. Like, a lot of people see Nick and they're like, oh, I can't believe he did this. I can't believe he did that. That dude is calculated. He's a little smarter than the average person. So we don't know all of the deals. We don't know all of the stipulations. This is why I hate when people say, yo, I'm trying to go get that bag. I don't know what y'all think the bag is, because I have a whole different, like, and I'm not saying y'all, but I'm just saying, like, when people tell me, like, yo, they got a bag for you, and they tell me what the number is, I'm like, that's groceries. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't. So, and I'm not saying it's like I got, $15 million hidden under my, under my couch or anything. But I'm just saying there's certain things that we just don't know the intricacies on, and we speak about them as if we do. There was one, and the reason why I say that is it was one blogger. She said something about Kanye and Kim's situation. She said, the Kardashians don't care about him, blah, 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 blah. You just, you're using this man and, you don't care about this black man. And it was crazy. And it sounded as if she knew what she was talking about.
Right.
And then at the end of her rant, she said, but if they are caring about him, I apologize, don't really mean it. And it came out maybe like a couple hours later through Twitter that Kanye said, oh, Kim is trying to, get me in the hospital. It was like, see, you don't know what you're talking about, right? So that's one of those things, man. Like, I know Nick. Nick is, that dude is, he's not a dumb guy.
Right.
He's not a dumb guy. And sometimes, these big companies, he may have did this move to do another move.
Yep.
So, I don't know.
Sheesh.
But ownership is number one. And I know he knows that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Q. Thank you. Thank you.
Y'all,
this
man.
was fire. I didn't know this much content was gonna come out. Like,
come on.
I didn't know.
Get it, dog.
I didn't know. Hold on. I gotta do the bomb for it. I gotta do the bomb. You know what I mean? Gotta do the bomb.